Iya, haleluya. Hari ini kita akan belajar satu topik yaitu mengenai Yeshua hanya untuk Yahudi. Titik, titik, titik.
Today we're going to learn that Yeshua is only for the Jews. ...
Ya, jadi kalimat ini tidak selesai tetapi ada kelanjutannya.
This statement is not finished yet, but there is a continuation of it. Dad, you're calling me. Oh.
Berapa? Ya, oke. Puji Bapak Yahweh. Jadi kita akan belajar mengenai Yeshua hanya untuk orang Yahudi. Dan ini kalimat tidak berhenti sampai di sana.
We're going to learn that Yeshua is only for the Jews.
Untuk dapat memahami Davar Elohim ini, kita harus kembali ke akar pola Ibrani yang benar.
To look into the Word of God, we have to go back to the right patterns.
Yaitu Yeshua HaMashiach.
That is Yeshua Mashiach
Dan Torah.
and Torah.
Karena ada kekayaan yang luar biasa di dalam pola akar Ibrani yang benar.
Because there is great wealth in the right pattern.
Di tangan saudara dan saya ada perjanjian lama dan perjanjian baru, Tanak dan Brit Kadasa.
In your hands or mine, we have the New and Old Testament.
Yang menjelaskan sejak penciptaan Shamayim sampai Yerusalem yang baru.
That is explained from the day of creation until the day of there's a New Jerusalem.
Kita harus tetap ingat bahwa untuk mendirikan rumah yang kokoh,
We have to know that in order to build a strong house,
maka kita harus membutuhkan fondasi yang kuat.
we must have a good foundation.
Karena tanpa fondasi yang kuat, maka rumah itu akan retak dan roboh.
Without a strong foundation, that house will break apart.
Begitu pula dengan rumah rohani kita.
And just like our spiritual life,
Kita harus didasari pada fondasi yang benar
we have to have the right
dan
foundation
fondasi yang baik pula.
and the best foundation,
Sehingga tidak mudah dirobohkan rumah rohani kita.
so that it would not be easy for our spiritual house to be broken down.
Karena kita kembali ke akar pola Ibrani yang benar,
So then that's why we have to go back to the true Hebrew roots.
maka kita paling tidak tahu akan huruf-huruf Ibrani.
So that we must know about these letters.
Ya, ada 22 huruf Ibrani
There's 22 letters in the Hebrew
dari Alef sampai Tau.
language. Aleph from Tau.
Dan di dalam 22 huruf Ibrani ini juga ada yang namanya piktograf.
And in these 22 letters, it's related to pictographs.
Piktograf adalah bahasa Ibrani pada masa yang lampau dalam bentuk gambar.
Pictographs are the Hebrew language through, it's like ancient Hebrew.
Jumlahnya juga 22.
There's 22 of them as well.
Seperti contohnya kalau Alef itu direpresentasikan dengan kepala lembu.
So Aleph is represented with an ox, the head of an ox.
Ya, dan seterusnya. Dan selain daripada piktograf, huruf Ibrani juga mempunyai nilai yaitu yang disebut sebagai gematria.
Other than the pictographs, we have gematria, which is a numerical value according to each Hebrew letter.
Dengan menggunakan nilai gematria ini kita dapat mendapatkan pemahaman ketepatan pekerjaan Elohim Yahweh.
Using the gematria numerical values, we can see the work of Yahweh.
Dan ini merupakan satu paket yang luar biasa,
And this concludes a huge, amazing packet,
di mana Elohim Yahweh berbicara untuk saudara dan saya.
where Yahweh is speaking to you and I.
Jangan pernah lupa bahwa nubuat adalah pola.
Don't ever forget that prophecy is a pattern.
Apa yang pernah terjadi pada masa lampau akan dipakai oleh Bapa Yahweh menjelaskan apa yang terjadi pada masa yang akan datang.
Whatever happened in the past will be a structure for the future.
Dan kemudian satuan waktu daripada Yahweh adalah Shabbat.
And one of the timelines of Yahweh is Shabbat,
Angka 7
7,
dan huruf Ibraninya adalah Zayin.
and its letter is Zayin.
Dan sebagai timernya Israel lah yang ditunjuk oleh Elohim Yahweh.
And as a timer, Israel is God's timeline.
Ya, kita akan melihat mengenai kebenaran Yeshua hanya untuk orang Ibrani.
We are going to come back to Yeshua is for the Jews only.
Ayatnya itu ada di dalam Matius 15 ayat 24.
The verse is in Matthew 15, verse 24.
Saudara yang bahasa Indonesia baca sendiri ya. Kita buka bahasa Inggrisnya. Saudara yang bahasa Indonesia, saudara bisa melihat di kitab suci saudara sendiri. Silakan Brother Reno.
Matthew 15, verse 24. But he, Yeshua, answered and said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Ya, ayat ini mengatakan bahwa Yesua hanya diutus untuk domba-domba yang hilang dari antara orang Israel.
In this verse it says that Yeshua was only sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Sering kali kita berpikir, loh bukankah Yesua untuk seluruh umat manusia?
A lot of times we think, isn't Yeshua for the whole world, for the whole mankind?
Tapi kalau kita lihat apa yang ditulis oleh firman Elohim,
But what is written in the word of Elohim,
Yesua mengatakan dia dikhususkan untuk orang-orang Jewish.
Yeshua was specifically and specially for the Jews.
Nah, kita akan lihat mengapa Yesua mengatakan seperti itu.
And we will see why he said that in the first place.
Kita akan melihat satu peristiwa yang berhubungan dengan ayat ini.
We're going to look at another verse that correlates with this verse.
Yaitu di dalam Matius 15 ayat 21 sampai 28.
That is in Matthew 15, verse 21 to 28.
Ya, silakan Brother.
Matthew 15, verse 21. Then Yeshua went out from there and departed to the region of the Tyre and Sidon. 22. And behold, a woman of Canaan came from the region and cried out to him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, son of David. My daughter is severely demon-possessed. 23. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, Send her away, for she cries out after us. 24. But he answered and said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. 25. Then she came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, It's not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. 27. And she said, Yes, Lord, yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table. 24. Then Yeshua answered and said to her, O woman, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire. And the daughter was healed from that very hour.
Dari peristiwa ini kita bisa tahu
From this event we know
bahwa Yeshua tidak diutus untuk orang Gentile.
that Yeshua was not sent for the Gentiles.
Dalam peristiwa ini dikatakan bahwa ada seorang perempuan yang punya anak dan anaknya dirasuk setan.
Over here we see that there was a woman, she had a daughter, and that daughter was demon-possessed.
Dan dia berkata, Son of David, anak David.
And she said, Son of David.
Dan kalau kita tahu bahwa perkataan anak Daud itu merujuk kepada Mesias.
And we know that the Son of David is correlated with the Messiah himself.
Tapi orang ini ada di luar Israel.
But this person is out of Israel, is
Bukan saja tempatnya,
not just the place.
ya bukan saja lokasinya yaitu di Tirus dan di Sidon.
It's not that the person was just because they're from Tyrus and Sidon.
Akan tetapi perempuan ini bukan orang Jewish.
But this person was not Jewish.
Tapi dia minta tolong karena dia tidak bisa mendapatkan pertolongan dari manapun juga.
But she was asking for help because she couldn't find help from anyone else.
Dan dia mendengar bahwa ada satu orang yang sanggup menolongnya pada zamannya itu.
And there was one person at that generation who could actually help her.
Yaitu Yesua HaMashiach.
That it was Yeshua Mashiach.
Dan pada saat itu dia dengar bahwa Yesua sedang ada di dekat kota Tirus dan Sidon.
And at that time she heard that Yeshua was near that city.
Perempuan itu tidak mau menyia-nyiakan kesempatannya.
That woman did not want to ignore that opportunity.
Karena itu dia datang kepada Yesua dan minta tolong.
That is why she asked Yeshua for help.
Tapi Yesua mengatakan bahwa dia dikhususkan untuk orang Israel saja.
But at that time, Yeshua said that he was only for the sheep of Israel.
Tapi orang perempuan ini dia tidak putus asa.
But this woman did not give up.
Dia minta tolong kepada Yesua.
She asked him for help.
Dia betul-betul merendahkan hati, merendahkan dirinya.
She truly humbled her heart.
Bahkan Yesua mengatakan tidak pantas untuk memberikan roti ini ya untuk diberikan kepada papi, anjing kecil.
And even Yeshua said it's not right to give these crumbs to a puppy, to little dogs.
Iya, jadi Tidak layak roti ini yang untuk anak-anak dikasihkan kepada anjing kecil.
So he was saying that it's not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little
Anjing
dogs.
kecil ini berbicara mengenai orang perempuan itu yang bukan orang Yahudi.
The little dogs are talking about her. She wasn't Jewish.
Tapi orang perempuan ini begitu dia mendengar dia disamakan dengan anjing kecil,
But when she heard that she was compared to a little dog,
dia tidak putus asa.
she did not give up.
Tapi tambah dia minta tolong sama Yesua.
She asked him for help.
Dan dia menyamakan dirinya seperti anjing kecil itu.
And she compared herself to that little dog.
Di titik itulah pada saat dia merendahkan hatinya,
At the point of when she humbled her heart,
Yesua mengatakan satu kalimat mujizat yang luar biasa.
Yeshua said something about that would give her a miracle.
Karena imanmu besar, perempuan,
Yeshua said, "Oh woman, great is your faith.
jadi seperti apa yang kau inginkan.
Let it be as you desire."
Dan saat itu juga,
And from then,
setan yang ada di dalam anak perempuannya keluar.
the satanic spirit inside her daughter's body was left,
Dan anak perempuan itu sembuh.
and that little girl was healed.
Tapi yang kita akan lihat hari ini bukan mujizatnya,
But what we see today is not the miracle,
tetapi pengutusan Yesua hanya untuk Israel.
but about the appointment of Yeshua is only for Israel.
Yesua juga mengutus murid-muridnya hanya untuk Israel.
Yeshua also told his disciples they're only for Israel.
Kita baca di dalam Matius 10 ayat 5 sampai yang ke-7.
We're going to read at Matthew chapter 10 verse 7.
Matthew 10, verse 5. These 12 Yeshua sent out and commanded them, saying, "Do not go into the way of the Gentiles, and do not enter a city of the Samaritans. 6. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. 7. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand."
Saudara bisa lihat Yesua sendiri mengutus murid-muridnya tidak untuk Gentiles atau Goyim.
And Yeshua said to his disciples not to go to the Gentiles,
Bahkan untuk kota-kota di Samaria saja tidak.
and even in the city of Samaria, they were not allowed to go there.
Dan Yesua sangat jelas mengutus murid-muridnya hanya untuk Israel.
And Yeshua specifically said that his disciples should only go to the house of Israel.
Apa yang dilakukan Yesua sama dengan apa yang dia ajarkan kepada murid-muridnya.
And what Yeshua did was the same teaching that he taught to his disciples.
Pertanyaannya adalah ada apa ini?
The question is, what about this?
Mengapa Yesua hanya mengatakan aku dikhususkan untuk orang Israel?
Why is that Yeshua was only appointed for the house of Israel?
Dan mengapa Yesua hanya menyuruh murid-murid untuk orang Israel?
And Yeshua only pointed them, even his disciples, to go for the Israel.
Bukankah di ayat-ayat lain mengatakan bahwa siapa yang percaya kepada Yesua akan mendapatkan keselamatan?
Didn't it say that whoever receives Yeshua will receive salvation?
Keselamatan bukan hanya untuk orang Yahudi, tetapi untuk bangsa-bangsa di seluruh dunia.
Salvation is not just for the Jews, but the whole nations.
Nah, kita akan melihat rahasianya ada di mana.
We will see the secret of it.
Ini semua diawali,
This beginning,
yaitu dengan satu peristiwa yang ada di dalam Bereshit atau Genesis atau Kejadian ayat yang ketiga, Fatsal yang ketiga, ayat 6 sampai ayat 21.
this all starts with going back in Genesis.
Saudara yang bahasa Indonesia baca sendiri di dalam Bereshit, dalam Kejadian, Fatsal 3 ayat 6 sampai 21. Silakan Brother Enoch.
Genesis 3, verse 6. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, and she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. 7. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. 8. And they heard the sound of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim among the trees of the garden. 9. Then Yahweh Elohim called to Adam and said to him, "Where are you?" 10. So he said, "I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself." 11. And he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat? 12. Then the man said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate. 13. And Yahweh Elohim said to the woman, what is this you have done? The woman said, the serpent deceived me, and I ate. 14. So Yahweh Elohim said to the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all cattle, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. 15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. 16. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. 17. Then to Adam he said, because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. 18. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. 19. The sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. 12. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. 12. 21. Also for Adam and his wife, Yahweh Elohim made tunics of skin and clothed them.
Permulaan semua masalah yang ada di bumi mulai dari sini.
The problem of the whole world started from here.
Permulaan dari segala hal yang ada, yang saudara lihat sekarang ini, permulaannya ada di peristiwa ini.
The beginning of all problems began here.
Dan peristiwa ini sangat real, sangat besar, sangat menakutkan, sangat serius, dan sangat betul-betul mencekam.
And this event is so serious, it's actually really big, and it's very critical.
Masalah ini atau problem ini betul-betul serius sekali.
This problem is very serious.
Ya, mengapa betul-betul serius?
Why is it serious?
Karena jika tidak ada solusi,
Because if there's no solution,
tidak ada solusi dari peristiwa yang setelah saudara dan saya baca ini,
if there's no solution to the problem of which we've read earlier,
maka ujungnya itu adalah kematian yang kekal.
the end of it will be eternal death.
Karena tertulis di dalam Roma 6 ayat 23a,
Because it says in Romans,
dikatakan sebagai bahwa upah dosa itu adalah kematian.
it says, for the reward of sin is death.
Kematian di sini bukan cuma kematian secara fisik.
The death that we're talking about here is just not physical death.
Yang dimaksud kematian di sini juga termasuk terpisahnya hubungan manusia dengan Elohim Sang Pencipta.
The death that they're talking about is the eternal separation between man and God.
Dan firman Elohim jelas menyatakan kalau sudah terpisah dengan Elohim, maka hanya ada di satu tempat, yaitu lautan api.
And the word of God says that if there is a separation, they will go into hell, which is
Karena
like
itu
fire.
masalah ini betul-betul sangat-sangat serius sekali.
Which is why this is a very, very serious
Di hadapan
problem.
Elohim Yahweh tidak pernah memandang hal ini sebagai hal yang ringan.
In Father Yahweh's eyes, there's no indication that this is such a light situation.
Karena itu Elohim Yahweh memberikan solusi.
That's why Father Yahweh gave them a solution.
Dan kita harus ngikutin solusinya ini, saudara.
And we must follow the solution.
Apapun solusi yang diberikan oleh Elohim Yahweh, itulah yang terbaik.
Whatever solution Father Yahweh will give us is the best.
Jadi kita harus mengikuti cara Elohim Yahweh memecahkan masalah ini.
So we have to follow God's plan in breaking down this solution.
Elohim Yahweh menubuatkan satu peristiwa.
Elohim Yahweh, He prophesied an event.
Yaitu di dalam Kejadian 3 ayat 15. Di peristiwa itu juga Elohim Yahweh menubuatkan sesuatu.
It says in Genesis here.
Silakan Brother untuk baca.
Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel.
Inilah profesi yang diucapkan oleh Elohim Yahweh untuk manusia bisa tahu apa yang akan dikerjakan olehnya.
This is the promise of Elohim Yahweh for mankind so that they can find the solution.
Saudara dan saya harus paham
You and I have to understand
bahwa saudara dan saya diciptakan segambar dan serupa dengan Elohim.
that you are created in the image of Elohim.
Saudara dan saya diciptakan dengan cintanya Elohim.
You are created in the love of Elohim.
Karena itu Elohim Yahweh tidak rela manusia binasa.
Which is why Elohim Yahweh does not desire for man to die
Karena
or
itu
to
dia
be destroyed.
Karena itu dia memberikan solusinya.
Which is why he gave us a solution.
Tapi sebelum solusi itu diberikan, maka dia sudah tahu terlebih dahulu apa yang akan dikerjakan.
And before that solution was given, he already knew what he should
Dia
do.
menubuatkan sesuatu.
He prophesied something.
Memang saat itu kamu sudah jatuh,
Maybe you have fallen at that time,
tapi akan ada satu waktu,
but there is a time.
yaitu satu waktu hari pembalasan.
There is a time of revenge.
Dan manusia, kamu lihat siapa yang membalaskan itu.
And man, you will see who will take avenge.
Dan
for you.
disitulah akan ada rencana keselamatan yang luar biasa.
And at that point, there is a huge event of salvation.
Jadi rencana solusi Elohim Yahweh sudah diberitahukan terlebih dahulu.
So the plan of God has been, the solution of it has been talked about beforehand.
Solusi yang pertama yang Elohim Yahweh lakukan,
The first solution that Elohim Yahweh started
yaitu tertulis di dalam Kejadian 3 ayat 21.
is written in Genesis 3 verse 21.
Silakan brother.
Genesis 3, verse 21. And Yahweh Elohim made for Adam and for his wife coats of skins for their clothing.
Jadi ini solusi pertama yang Elohim Yahweh lakukan karena manusia saat itu telanjang.
This is the first solution that Elohim Yahweh did because man was naked.
Elohim Yahweh tidak meninggalkan manusia telanjang untuk seterusnya.
Elohim Yahweh would not leave a man naked forever.
Tapi ini cara solusi Elohim Yahweh yang Elohim Yahweh berikan.
But this is the solution Elohim Yahweh has given.
Dan di dalam solusi yang pertama ini juga mengandung prophecy atau nubuatan yang akan datang.
And in the first solution, there is
Nubuat
a new prophecy.
yang akan dilakukan pada masa yang akan datang.
That prophecy that will come in the future to come.
Manusia telah melakukan dosa,
Humans have sinned,
maka harus ada sesuatu yang berkorban untuk manusia.
so there must be a sacrifice done for man.
Dan yang melakukan itu tidak berdosa.
And that person who sacrificed cannot be in sin.
Tapi masalahnya di Taman Eden hanya ada 2 orang.
But the problem is in the Garden of Eden there's only 2 people,
Adam dan Hawa.
Adam and Eve.
Bagaimana mungkin ada orang lain? Pasti tidak akan terjadi saat itu.
How can there be other people? There wouldn't be.
Tapi Elohim Yahweh tidak kehilangan akal.
Elohim Yahweh, he did not lose.
Dia menggunakan domba untuk dikorbankan saat itu.
He used a lamb to be slain at that time.
Dan itu berbicara akan apa yang dia lakukan pada masa yang akan datang.
And that is talking about what he will do in the future to come.
Kalau kita lihat pengorbanan ini merupakan gambar daripada satu peristiwa.
When we look at this, it's like a picture of what a certain event.
Yaitu yang kita lihat di mana orang Israel saat itu akan keluar dari Mesir.
At that time when the Israelites, they will come out from Egypt.
Dan Elohim Yahweh mengatakan, korbankan domba.
And Elohim said, sacrifice a lamb.
Tampung darahnya di dalam satu tempat dan kemudian kamu harus mengoleskannya di ambang pintu.
Take the blood and put it on the door.
Ya, di ambang pintu.
On the sides of the door.
Nah, kalau kita tahu masalah apa yang dilakukan oleh orang Israel saat itu,
And if we know what the Israelites did at that time,
kita pasti tahu kapan Israel harus melakukannya.
we would know when Israel should be doing this.
Israel harus melakukannya yaitu pada tanggal 14 Nisan.
Israel did this on 14th of Nisan.
Tertulis di dalam Imamat Leviticus 23 ayat 5. Silakan brother.
Leviticus 23, verse 5. On the 14th day of the first month at twilight is Yahweh's Passover.
first month yang dimaksud di sini adalah bulan pertama dari kalender Ibrani.
First month over here is talking about the first month of the Hebrew calendar.
Bulan Ibrani diawali dengan bulan Abib atau bulan Nisan.
Hebrew calendar starts with Abib or Nisan.
Walaupun New Year's-nya atau tahun barunya adalah bulan ke-7.
Even though their New Year's is on the 7th month.
Tetapi Elohim Yahweh mengatakan pada bulan pertama yaitu bulan Nisan tanggal 14 kamu harus melakukan itu.
But Elohim Yahweh said on the first month, that is on the 14th day, you must do this.
Dan ini persis apa yang terjadi pada penyaliban Yeshua.
And this is exactly the time of when Yeshua also died on the cross.
Yeshua mati pada tanggal 14 Nisan.
Yeshua also died on 14th of Nisan.
Ya, Yeshua mati pada tanggal 14 Nisan. Nah, pertanyaannya adalah bagaimana jika Adam tidak berdosa pada tanggal itu?
So the question is, what if Adam did not sin at that time?
Apakah dibutuhkan pengorbanan?
Does the sacrifice still need to be required?
Jawabannya adalah kalau Adam tidak berdosa, buat apa dilakukan pengorbanan?
The answer is if Adam did not sin, then why do we need a sacrifice?
Maka pada tanggal 14 Nisan Adam berbuat dosa, karena itu dibutuhkan pengorbanan.
At 14th of Nisan, Adam committed a sin. That's why a sacrifice was required.
Kalau Adam tidak berdosa pada saat itu, tidak ada pengorbanan. Untuk apa?
If Adam did not sin, that means if a sacrifice was not required, what would be a sacrifice for?
Jadi kita bisa tahu dari penetapan tanggal 14 Nisan itu,
From the time of 14 Nisan, we know
disitulah Adam dan Hawa juga jatuh dalam dosa saat
we
itu.
knew that Adam and Eve also fell into sin on that day.
Saya bisa lihat, jadi ada kesamaan pola
There is a similarity in this pattern
yang selalu berulang-ulang,
that continues and repeats,
yang dinyatakan dalam firman Elohim.
that Elohim in the word says.
Begitu pula apa yang dilakukan oleh Abraham dan Ishak.
Just like the same way as Abraham and Isaac.
Peristiwa pengorbanan Abraham dan kepada Ishak karena perintah Elohim Yahweh,
The sacrifice of Abraham, of Isaac at that time,
itu
because
juga terjadi pada tanggal 14 Nisan.
it was happening in 14 of Nisan.
Saya bisa lihat, jadi semuanya sama.
All of it is the same.
Ini sebuah pattern yang ada di dalam kitab suci.
This is a pattern in the Bible.
Nah, pertanyaan kedua, bagaimana jika Yahweh menunda untuk menyelamatkan Adam dan Hawa saat itu?
The question is, what if Elohim Yahweh, he delayed the time to create that sacrifice?
Ya, untuk menyelamatkan Adam dan Hawa, kalau dia menunda pada hari itu.
What if he delayed that day?
Maka solusinya adalah solusi nomor 2.
And the solution is number 2.
Solusi nomor 2 adalah di dalam Kejadian atau Bereshit atau Genesis pasal 3 ayat 22 dan 23. Silakan Brother Henok bisa baca.
Genesis 3, verse 22. Then Yahweh Elohim said, Behold, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil. And now let him put out his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. 23. So Yahweh Elohim set him out of the Garden of Eden to be a worker on the earth from which he was taken.
Kalau Adam dan Hawa tidak dikeluarkan dari Taman Eden saat itu,
If Adam and Eve was not taken out of the Garden of Eden,
Elohim Yahweh sudah memprediksi bahwa mereka akan mengambil buah dari pohon kehidupan.
Elohim Yahweh already predicted that they would take the fruit from the tree of life.
Dan hasilnya fatal sekali.
And the result may be fatal.
Dikatakan bahwa manusia akan hidup selama-lamanya,
Because it says that humans can live forever,
tetapi tidak ada masa pengampunan.
but there is no chance of forgiveness of sin.
Karena itu Elohim Yahweh mengeluarkan mereka dari Taman Eden.
Which is why Elohim took them out of the Garden of Eden.
Mengapa dikeluarkan? Karena untuk menunggu waktu yang tepat Elohim bergerak.
Why were they taken out of the Garden of Eden? So that they would wait for a time until their time is right.
Pertanyaannya adalah kapan waktu Elohim?
The question is, when is the time of Elohim?
Nah, kapan waktu Elohim? Nah, ini bisa ditemukan dari peristiwa yaitu pada saat Elohim Yahweh menginstruksikan Pesach untuk orang Israel.
This can be instructed during Pesach.
Pada saat Pesach, orang Israel dikatakan dia harus mengoleskan darah di pintu, di ambang pintu.
At the time of Pesach, the Israelites were told to put blood on the sides of the doors.
Di dalam kitab Shemot atau Exodus atau Keluaran 12 ayat 6 sampai 7. Silakan Brother.
Exodus 12, verse 6. Now you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it at twilight. 7. And they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it.
Jadi harus diaplikasikan di pintu.
So they must apply it on the door.
Nah, kalau kita lihat huruf Ibrani, huruf keempat itu mempunyai makna pintu karena piktografnya adalah pintu, dalet.
And when we look at that on the door is dalet, which is number 4.
Dan Yeshua mengatakan, akulah pintu.
Yeshua said, I am the door.
Ya, Yeshua juga mengatakan, akulah pintu.
Yeshua said, I am the door.
Dan kalau kita bisa melihat di dalam Yohanes 10 ayat 9, Yeshua berkata, akulah pintu, siapa yang masuk ke dalamku, dia akan diselamatkan.
And Yeshua said, I am the door. Whoever enters the door, whoever enters me, they will be saved.
Kalau orang tidak mau masuk melalui pintu, yaitu Yeshua HaMashiach, dia tidak akan mendapatkan keselamatan.
If that person does not want to enter the door, which is Yeshua Mashiach, he
Bukan
will not receive salvation.
Bukan kebetulan Yeshua mengatakan, akulah pintu.
Yeshua said, I am the door.
Nah, kalau kita lihat apa yang dilakukan oleh Moshe, yaitu membangun tabernakel Moshe,
And Yeshua said to build the tabernacle of Moshe.
ya, itu juga ada pintunya.
There is also a door,
Dan pintunya cuma satu,
and there is only one door.
yaitulah Yeshua.
That is Yeshua.
Jadi tabernakel Moshe itu gambaran dari Shamayim.
The tabernacle of Moshe is a picture of Shamayim.
Siapa yang mau masuk harus melalui pintu itu,
Whoever wants to enter in must go through that one door.
yaitu Yeshua.
That is Yeshua.
Karena Yeshua berkata, akulah pintu itu.
Which is why Yeshua said, I am the door.
Dari sini kita bisa melihat kapan pintu itu terbuka.
So from here we can see when that door has been opened.
Ingat, pintu itu angkanya gematrianya 4.
Remember that the door, the gematria number is 4.
Karena itu pintu itu terbuka 4.000 tahun setelah kejatuhan Adam dan Hawa.
Which is why that door has been open 4,000 years from the time of Adam and Eve.
Tepat di tanggal yang sama, 14 Nisan.
It's exactly the time, 14 of Nisan.
Same date.
Same date.
Ya, tanggal yang sama di mana Adam dan Hawa jatuh. Disitulah Yeshua mati di kayu salib.
There's at the time during Adam and Eve's fall, that is when Yeshua died on the cross.
Dan jaraknya adalah 4.000 tahun.
And the distance between them is 4,000 years.
Ya, jaraknya ada 4.000 tahun. Dan kita lihat bahwa karena Adam dan Hawa jatuh dalam dosa,
And we see here because Adam and Eve fell into sin,
maka ada satu peristiwa yang terjadi.
there was one event that
Ada
occurred.
banyak peristiwa sebetulnya.
There are many events actually,
Tapi salah satu yang terpenting adalah peristiwa ini, saudara.
but the most important event is this.
Yaitu dalam Kejadian atau Genesis atau Bereshit 2 ayat 25. Silakan Brother.
Genesis 2:25. And a man and his wife were without clothing, and they had no sense of shame.
Pertanyaannya adalah, mengapa mereka telanjang, tidak pakai baju, tetapi tidak merasa malu?
Why is it that they were naked but they did not feel any shame?
Pada saat sebelum kejatuhan, mereka diciptakan tanpa menggunakan pakaian, tetapi mereka tidak malu.
Before the fall, they were naked but they were not ashamed.
Jawabannya adalah karena mereka diselubungi oleh kemuliaan Elohim.
The reason is because they were surrounded by the glory of Elohim.
Ya, mereka diselubungi oleh kemuliaan Elohim yang menutupi tubuh jasmani mereka.
They were surrounded by the glory of Elohim that covered their bodies.
Ingat, tubuh yang dimiliki Adam dan Hawa sebelum kejatuhan bukan tubuh kemuliaan.
The body that Adam and Eve fell into sin is not the glorified body.
Tubuh yang dimiliki oleh Adam dan Hawa sebelum kejatuhan adalah tubuh fisik biasa seperti saudara dan saya, tetapi ditambah selubung Elohim.
The body of Adam and Eve before they fell into sin was a regular body like yours and mine, except that it was covered with the glory of Elohim.
Ya, jadi ini bukan tubuh kemuliaan, saudara.
So this is not the glorified body.
Nah, pada saat dia berdosa, maka mereka telanjang.
When they fell into sin, they were naked.
Kita baca lagi di dalam Kejadian 3 ayat 6 sampai yang ke-11. Silakan Brother Nom.
Genesis 3, verse 6. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. 7. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they were sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. 8. And they heard the sound of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim among the trees of the garden. 9. Then Yahweh Elohim called to Adam and said to him, Where are you? 10. So he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. 11. And he said, Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat?
So bisa lihat, sebelumnya mereka tidak mengenakan pakaian, tetapi mereka diselubungi kemuliaan Elohim Yahweh.
Before that, they weren't wearing anything, but they were covered by the glory of Elohim.
Tetapi pada saat mereka memakan buah itu yang dilarang oleh Elohim Yahweh,
after they ate that fruit that Father Yahweh prohibited,
maka selubung Elohim Yahweh hilang begitu saja.
And the glory of Yahweh was gone.
Dan mereka menyadari bahwa mereka telanjang.
And finally they realized they were naked.
Itu secara fisik.
That physically.
Tapi secara kejiwaan, secara alam di dalam manusia,
but spiritually,
juga ada sebuah perubahan.
There was also a change.
Yaitu morality levelnya turun.
That immorality level.
Dari moral level turun menjadi immorality level.
From becoming moral to become immoral.
Ya, jadi sebelumnya mereka mempunyai moral seperti Elohim saat itu.
First they had a morality like Elohim.
Tapi pada saat mereka melanggar firman Elohim,
but when they sinned, they were no longer like Elohim.
Maka moral mereka seperti binatang.
So they were almost like animals.
Saudara tidak pernah melihat bahwa ada gorila pakai celana jeans.
Have you seen a gorilla wearing jeans?
Dia hanya telanjang begitu saja.
He's just naked, just like that.
Manusia jadi seperti binatang.
And humans became like animals.
Tapi Bapa Yahweh punya rencana untuk manusia.
But Father Yahweh had a plan for man.
Karena manusia diciptakan segambar dan serupa dengan Elohim Yahweh.
Because we were created in the image of God.
Dan planning atau rencana Elohim Yahweh adalah membalikkan keadaan.
And the planning of Yahweh was to come back and reverse the situation.
Yaitu dari posisi yang binatang telanjang tadi.
That is from an animalistic way.
Menjadi level Shamayim.
To become Shamayim level.
Yaitu tubuh kemuliaan.
That is the glorified body.
Ingat, saya katakan tadi bahwa tubuh Adam dan Hawa sebelum kejatuhan bukan tubuh kemuliaan.
And remember that the body that Adam and Eve had was not the glorified body.
Adalah rencana Elohim Yahweh untuk setiap manusia pada level tertentu akan punya tubuh kemuliaan.
There's a plan of Father Yahweh in the future so that we may have the glorified body.
Karena Elohim Yahweh mengatakan manusia diciptakan segambar dan serupa dengan Elohim.
because we are created in the image of God.
Bagaimana cara ini bisa dijalankan?
How can this plan continue?
Bagaimana cara Elohim Yahweh untuk merealisasikan rencana yang dahsyat ini?
How can we make into reality what Yahweh's plan is for
Step
us?
pertama, Elohim Yahweh harus bikin nation
First, he had to build a nation
yang dibedakan dari segala bangsa lainnya.
that was different from all the other nations.
Dan bangsa ini harus turut rencananya Elohim Yahweh.
And this nation had to follow the plan of Yahweh.
Dan itu dilakukan oleh Elohim Yahweh. Kita sudah tahu bangsa itu adalah bangsa Israel.
And we know that that nation is the nation of Israel.
Jadi itulah bangsa yang dibentuk oleh Elohim Yahweh sendiri.
That is the nation that which Elohim Yahweh built.
Karena sebelumnya nama Israel adalah Yakov.
Because before Israel, his name was Yaakov.
Dan nama Yakov diganti oleh Elohim Yahweh.
And the name of Yaakov was changed by Yahweh.
Yahweh mengatakan, mulai saat itu namamu bukan Yakov, tapi Israel.
Yahweh said, from now on, your name will not be Yaakov, but Israel.
Ya, inilah cara Elohim Yahweh pada langkah yang pertama.
This is the first step of Elohim Yahweh.
Langkah yang kedua adalah membangun fondasi peraturan pengajaran, yaitu Torah.
The second is to build a teaching, that is Torah.
Dan ini tidak dilakukan pada bangsa-bangsa yang lain.
And this is not done with any other nation,
Hanya dilakukan kepada Israel.
only for Israel.
Jadi pada Israel dipercayakan firman Elohim.
So Israel was entrusted the word of Elohim.
Firman Elohim tidak dipercayakan pada bangsa-bangsa di luar Israel.
The word of Elohim was not entrusted to any other nation.
Torah hanya dipercayakan kepada Israel.
Torah is only for the people of Israel.
Rencana Elohim Yahweh membuat bangsa dan membuat fondasi peraturan.
The plan of Elohim Yahweh is to create a nation and then to create a set of teaching.
Tujuannya untuk apa?
Why?
Tujuannya supaya segala bangsa mendapat berkat di dalam Israel.
The
Ini
purpose
rahasianya.
is so all the nations will become blessed through the nation of Israel.
Jadi Israel akan menjadi berkat untuk bangsa Amerika, bangsa Indonesia, bangsa manapun di seluruh penjuru bumi.
So Israel will become a blessing for all the nations.
Tetapi ada satu masalah di dalam perjalanannya.
But there was a problem during the journey.
Apa problemnya?
What was the problem?
Problemnya adalah Israel melenceng dari jalurnya Elohim.
But the problem is Israel left the path of the way of Elohim.
Dia bukan left 100%, tidak.
They didn't leave 100%.
Tapi dia menambahkan rules of man.
They added rules of men.
Dia menambahkan Talmud digandengkan dengan Torah.
They added Talmud
Itu
in
ada
addition to the Torah.
tercatat dalam Markus 7 ayat yang ke-8.
And that was written in Mark 7 verse 8.
Itu ada beberapa translation yang saya berikan. Markus 7 ayat 8. Kalau sudah lihat dalam bahasa LAI-nya, hanya mereka membentuk atau mereka memelihara peraturan manusia. Tetapi sebetulnya yang mereka lakukan adalah mereka melakukan tradisi mencuci perkakas-perkakas. Brother Enoch bisa baca di translation yang BBE dan New King James Version. Tidak usah, langsung aja. BBE itu aja baca itu.
Mark 7, verse 8. BBE version. For turning away from the law of God, you keep the rules of man.
New King James Version.
New King James Version. Yang mana ya?
NKJV.
Oh, okay. For New King James Version, for laying aside the commandment of God, you hold the tradition of men, washing of pitchers and cups, and many other such things you do.
Saudara bisa lihat apa yang ada di Torah ditambahkan oleh orang-orang Israel, orang Jewish itu sendiri.
So whatever was written in Torah was added by the Jewish people.
Karena itu Israel keluar dari rencana besar Elohim Yahweh.
Which is why we see that Israel actually left the great plan of Yahweh.
Disinilah Yeshua mengatakan, karena itu aku dikirim untuk mengembalikan Israel kepada jalur yang benar.
From here it says that Yeshua was sent so that Israel will go back to the right path.
Karena Israel dipercayakan firman Elohim.
Because Israel was entrusted the Torah, the word of Elohim.
Bangsa-bangsa lain tidak dipercayakan firman Elohim.
Not any other nation.
Jadi Yeshua tidak diutus untuk bangsa-bangsa lain yang tidak punya firman Elohim.
Yeshua was not sent for other nations.
Jadi Yeshua hanya diutus untuk Israel yang dipercayakan firman Elohim.
Yeshua was only sent for the people of Israel who had been entrusted by the word of Elohim.
Tapi perjalanan Israel keluar dari rencana Elohim Yahweh
But the pathway of Israel left the way of
dengan
Elohim
menambahkan Talmud.
by adding Talmud.
Karena itu Yeshua datang, aku akan meluruskan rencana Elohim Yahweh
That's why
untuk Israel.
That's why Yeshua said, I will come back to fix the path of Israel.
Supaya bangsa-bangsa yang lain akan mendapatkan berkat dari Israel dengan pattern yang benar.
So that other nations may see the right and true pattern of Israel.
Karena itu Yeshua mengatakan, aku hanya diutus untuk orang-orang Jewish. Ya,
That's what
the lost
Yeshua
sheep
said.
of the house of Israel.
Which is why this verse says that Yeshua was sent for the lost sheep of Israel.
Yeshua mengatakan, aku diutus untuk domba-domba yang hilang dari Israel.
Yeshua was sent for the lost sheep of Israel.
Kita akan stop terlebih dahulu.
We're gonna
Next
stop
week kita
here.
akan continue kembali.
We're going to continue next week.